Welcome to Try Friend Heroes, Legend of Zelda podcast. I'm Ellen.
I'm Kayla.
No, I'm Kazam.
So psyched to be here.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to talk about Zelda. I don't know.
Yes.
We were just talking about Fruits Basket, though, so, you know, our first love. Or at least our first podcast. Love? Question mark. Today, we're talking about, it's a very special episode. We're talking about multiplayer Zelda games. Yay.
Yay.
Of which there are not that many.
Yeah.
We're talking about 3 specifically today. We talked about the multiplayer modes for Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks a little bit when we did those episodes, which do have like a multiplayer component, but we're specifically talking about Four Swords that was grouped with Link to the Past on the Game Boy Advance port for Link to the Past, and then Four Swords Adventures and Triforce Heroes. Mm-hmm. So, well, before we start talking about those games, I just want to remind everyone that in couple months this game comes out September 1st. This episode comes out September 1st, and then we'll be recording our final episode in late October. So if you have questions about anything that you want to ask us about Zelda, we've already gotten a couple questions, so thank you if you already sent them in. Yeah. Somebody asked us questions. We'll have some content for our episode.
Yeah.
And please send those questions for us by October 20th. You can send us a DM on X. Is that what we're calling it now? Try Friend Heroes.
That's not what I'm calling it.
You can send an ask on Tumblr, which is also at Try Friend Heroes. You can email us directly at tryfriendheroes@gmail.com. And there's also a form on our podcast network website, which is staytogethernetwork.com/contact. And all those links and stuff will be in the description, so you don't have to remember them. But they're there. So contact us.
There will be a quiz later.
Yeah. You better know our Twitter handle. Anyway, today we're talking about multiplayer games, and so we're not going to follow the same format I think as we normally do. I think we'll just take some time to talk about each game and talk about our impressions and whatever. And so let's start with Four Swords. We'll go in chronological order, at least, I think.
Yes, that sounds good.
Have some structure.
One week didn't play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had either of you played it in the past? I definitely have.
I have.
You have? I figured.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a Four Sword multiplayer Zelda game, which was I was obsessed with Zelda ever since I was. Did I tell the story about how I got into Zelda?
Are you talking about SpaghettiOs?
Yeah. So ever since SpaghettiOs, I was really obsessed with Zelda for some reason, and So I don't know if we ever actually had a full 4 players to play. There was always me, my current roommate. He wasn't my roommate at the time, and my brother. And then my brother would sometimes not be as interested. He didn't care about Zelda like we did. So sometimes it would just be the 2 of us.
But you can have your tag-alongs that, you can have a computer players that you control, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I played that a good amount. I definitely played Four Swords Adventures a lot more. And that was a similar situation. Usually it was just me and my friend. My brother tagged along sometimes. And then towards the end, my brother would really only play the battle mode rather than the adventure mode. Yeah. But it was fun either way. I don't remember. It's been too long since I've played, and we weren't able to get it up and going. So,
me and you and Kayla played it.
No, we played Adventure, not Four Swords, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Four Swords Adventures. Yes.
I went back. Yeah, we didn't play Four Swords, and so I don't remember it. And that, when Four Swords Adventure came out, that basically just took over. So whenever we were going to play a Four Swords game, it was that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all even physically in the same place recently with the game, but we just forgot.
We definitely really didn't.
Yeah.
We had other things to do.
We had other friends as well, so it would have been weird for the 3 of us to go and leave the other 3 of them
alone. There were
alone.
even times that we were alone, the 3 of us, and we still didn't do
That is true.
Yeah.
That's on us.
Yeah.
But no, we had other things to do. We play a lot of Mario Party. And Boomerang Fu, if you have friends that like to play video games, those are good games that are fun.
Yes, they are.
Not Zelda games, but yeah, no. We tried. It's fine.
We made an effort.
I definitely watched
take our
the
word
playthrough.
for it, but we made an effort.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know. So you have played it in the past, though, because I don't think I even. I don't think I had. Well, yeah, I didn't have the Link to the Past like Game Boy game until we started preparing for this podcast. That was one that I never had as a child. So
yeah, I owned it before, but not like as a kid. I got it like as an older teen or something. Like I dug it out of a used game bin somewhere.
Nice.
Good.
And I've never had like multiple friends who would sit down and play a Zelda game with me. So
yeah,
you're like, I never had multiple friends. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Also, I realized while I was preparing for this is that that game was re-released for as like DSiWare in 2011. So if we had been prepared, we could have bought it before the eStore or the eShop died. So then we could have played it easily online instead of with cables and whatnot.
I see.
Anyway, if you're lucky enough to have it, you too can play that game with your chums on your 3DS or any other, I guess, like a DSi if they still exist. I don't know. It probably still works.
Or if you don't have friends, you can just play Link to the Past.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also great. In terms of this game, I think one other thing was I didn't realize when we were playing Minish Cap that Link to the Past was like the origin story of Vati. I think we discussed that during while we were recording, but
well, Minish Cap is the origin.
Oh, so wait, is that a prequel then to this?
It's like Four Swords came out first, but it features Vati in his like cloud demon form,
his eyeball form.
Yeah, and then Minish Cap is like the backstory of how he became evil.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, those are they kind of make a trilogy. Like in chronological order, it's like Minish Cap, Four Swords, and Four Swords Adventures, I believe.
Four Swords Adventures is definitely the last one because it specifically references
Four Swords.
Four Swords, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's why like part of the thing with the Minish Cap is like you're sort of building that Four Swords situation where you can make the little ghosties of you.
Yeah. Oh, and then I guess in terms of like the story in Four Swords, you have to go to like the amount of content isn't that much, I guess, and you have to beat bosses to get to like the great fairies of Forest, Ice, and Flame, and then you eventually go to Vati's palace and you fight Vati there. Exciting.
He, kidnapped the maidens or whatever.
Yeah.
Because plot reasons, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's big on kidnapping girls in his games.
Yeah,
I suppose it's common for a lot of Zelda villains, but
it's a particularly Vati thing to do.
Yeah,
I guess it's kind of similar to like all the maidens in the original, like in Link to the Past. Yeah, it's Link to the Past.
Yeah, Link to the Past.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense. They're all sort of Ganon's also trying to get all the maidens for whatever reason in Link to the Past. I definitely totally remember the plot of Link to the Past, is what I'm saying. Oh, and then in terms of like the visuals and stuff, it has all it's very similar to Link to the Past. It's on the same cartridge, right? So it has a lot of like reused assets and even like enemies, except there are some things that are kind of cool. Like a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the enemies and a lot of the like elements and the levels, you have to work together with your like teammates to do things with all the co-op people that you're playing with to like do stuff like lift things, or you have to lift each other and throw each other. So where you kind of like rely on items to progress. I mean, you use items, but I think some of the things that you would normally use items for in Link to the Past or like in a regular Zelda game, you can kind of use each other, which is cool.
Yep.
So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's also kind of the like first appearance of the like Wind Waker style in like the artwork anyway. It's not as much in the game, but like the artwork has that like Toon Link style.
Yeah. And even some of the like backgrounds and stuff, like Vati's kind of like the Four Sword shrine or whatever it's called, where the game starts, has that like eye with all that geometric pattern. It kind of reminds me of Wind Waker actually too. Four Swords Adventures actually reuses some of the like elements from Wind Waker, like the save screen and stuff. Like some of the graphics, I feel like are either directly reused or like very similar. It's kind of funny. Oh, and Four Swords also has like kind of a like you do the level with your players that you're like co-oping with, and then it has like this rank at the end of each level for whoever collected the most, or like whatever rupees or got the most, like I don't know, did the most stuff.
Yeah.
These games are kind of interesting. Especially Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures, they're kind of interesting because they're like kind of, it's like a co-op game. Like you have to work with each other, but then it also has this like rank thing at the end, which I guess like it's like, does it matter? Is it competitive? I'm still sort of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where you can choose how to play. You know, a game that I used to play with my friend that's kind of like that is Gauntlet Legends. It could definitely be more cooperative, but you could definitely try and compete and like try and get the, I don't remember what you would collect at the time and stuff like that. So like you could definitely
whatever you
like
collect,
you could definitely like race and be like, you know, did I am I getting all the big upgrades to increase my health or whatever, things like that. You know, or you could make it very cooperative, like, okay, I want this one, all right, sure, you take it. So I think there are some games that like that where it's cooperative, but if you want to compete and like sort of race to the certain objectives and things like that, there's some sort of mechanic for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like that. And I can't decide how I feel about that. It's like there are aspects of the game where it's like you have to work cooperatively. Like you have to throw each other across things, so you all have to wait to like push a block or whatever. But then it's like it's still ranking you against each other, so it's kind of like, what is it? Is it cooperative? Is it competitive? I don't know, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, I think it's especially a little weird in adventures. I'm not sure if it's different in Four Swords, but it's like you couldn't even like progress to a different screen without everybody. So
yeah,
I think Four Swords is a little more independent because you use 4 separate devices. So like the thing about Four Swords Adventures is like you have to use the screen for the main screen for some things. So you can definitely play more independently in Four Swords. But like usually to fight the boss, there's like some things, and some things aren't like necessarily competitive, but you're forced to like take turns. So some of the bosses in Four Swords are like, it'll change color that corresponds with the player that's supposed to be attacking it or whatever. There are some bosses or like enemies where it's like, it'll be like red and the red player has to hit something, or purple and the purple player has to hit something, or like it turns blue and green and then the blue and green players have to hit at the same time and stuff like that. So like I wouldn't necessarily describe that as competitive, but you all have to be there. So it's kind of, you also have to rely on single players to do things. Or even when we were playing Triforce Heroes, it was kind of interesting because there are some like bosses and stuff where it's like, okay, the top player has to shoot. And so, like, you had to coordinate, like, a lot.
Well,
and then
that one, it wasn't based on colors, but it was based on items.
Items, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if you picked up the arrow, then you had to be the second person in the tower for this thing, but then you had to be the third person for this, and, like...
Yeah. I can't remember if Triforce Heroes had a rank at the end of each level. I think out of all 3 of the games, it's the most like cooperative, but
it did. It was basically who was your friend and who was the asshole. And
then that's right. You would vote.
Yeah, that was Adventures, wasn't it?
Oh, I know.
Was that Adventures?
Yeah, I don't think it was a ranking, and if there was, it was just like how many like stuff you got. But I don't remember if there was one.
No, there's just like a prize screen. Right?
There's just a prize at the end,
But the prize is kind of. It's not random, but like 2 of the 3 prizes are the same and 1 is different. But yeah, there's no rank, and then it shows you like how you did, and then you can do your little emojis, which is fun, or little emoticons. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely got the
Adventures was the one where it was like, who didn't pull their weight?
Yeah, you have to vote.
Like,
yes, no, you're totally right. We all voted for Costume. I mean, what? Yeah, it was which is kind of weird. That's what I mean. It's like, is it competitive or is it cooperative? Like, I don't. Like I wonder your interpretation of it is really interesting, where it's like you can make it cooperative or you can make it competitive, but I kind of feel like it really walks a fine line. Both Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures walk this really fine line between being cooperative and competitive. So yeah, I guess it kind of depends on who you're playing with or whatever, but yeah. But yeah, speaking of Four Swords Adventures, since we were kind of talking about that, it's also very similar in like kind of the story and the plot, like Vaatis back and kidnapped a bunch of maidens, not just Zelda this time, but like six maidens in Zelda, right? And then
like that, yeah.
You have to the objective of each level is that you have to collect force gems to strengthen the force sword, and if you don't have enough, then it's hard to fight the boss, or you can't fight the boss. I don't remember exactly how it works, but the objective is essentially to collect force gems, and there were force gems in what was in Spirit Tracks and Spirit Track, or either in both Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass, or definitely in the second one for sure, where like a lot of the level you have to go
would
collect
open
them.
the force gems would open new paths and stuff,
open
and Spirit Tracks
doors and stuff, and Spirit Tracks,
and restore the tracks.
I want to say that they were force gems were like just a trade item that you collect and they were worth something or something like that in Phantom Hourglass, but I could be wrong. They were power gems. Oh, they were power gems, and they were more like the spiritual stones from Ocarina of Time. It looks
okay.
Yeah.
Power gem, force gems, questions. Yeah. So many. We play a lot of Zelda games at this point. Listen.
Yeah.
According to the Zelda wiki, the Sands of Hours were made of force gems in Phantom Hourglass.
Is that
and you would carry them around to unlock those? They were the triangle things you would carry around to unlock some of the Triforce doors and stuff.
Okay, yeah,
that's the temple.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a different thing in that game, but they were still called force gems.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've appeared in Four Swords Adventures, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. So.
Oh, okay.
And I have no reason to doubt the Zelda wiki, so.
Don't question the Zelda wiki.
I would never.
But yeah, so you run around and collect these gems, and you fight enemies, and it's very similar in that there's I think different players can get different weapons and different items, and then it's also sort of similarly cooperative / competitive, where you get a rank at the end, like we were joking about, but you also have shared resources. I think you share rupees. Can't remember.
In Four Swords, you share rupees,
but you don't share hearts.
No.
You have to go, and there was there's not, you don't get injured by other people, but you do get stunned by other people in your party hitting you, which is hilarious. That definitely never happened to us. I don't know what you're talking about.
Cousin set us on fire a lot.
Oh yeah, you can also I think that can happen also.
Yes. I would say it was very satisfying with how many force gems that would appear in certain things. So specifically with the fire, I would light a piece of grass on fire, all the grass would burn, and up would come just a bunch of force gems. And then you get to go and collect them all. Yeah.
We played, so we three, just for the record for this, we were able to play together Four Swords Adventures and Triforce Heroes. And I thought Four Swords Adventures was fun. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't play enough up to get to it, but apparently there's also Tingle mini games in Four Swords Adventures too. Which I didn't.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a Tingle tower that shows up. It'll just kind of I'm sure there's some way that it's triggered, but it seems to be sort of randomly triggered, where Tingle will be like, hey, do you want to play a game? Even though he was vaguely threatening when you first meet him at the beginning. He's like, these are my force gems. And you're like, okay, whatever. But
he's always vaguely threatening.
Yeah. Yes, he is always vaguely threatening. But I do remember in the beginning, he was particularly vaguely threatening in Four Swords Adventures.
And he was like, oh, Tingle, that's a silly guy. Also, I think he's going to kill me in my sleep.
I mean, why was he locked up in Wind Waker? He was a criminal, but I can't remember for what.
I think he stole the Picto box, I think, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Murder. But yeah, definitely murder. I definitely wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, he's also got that tower where he's got all his
weird
siblings
tower.
working as indentured.
Right. Wait, are they siblings? I always thought they were randoms.
I think most of them are related to him, but one of them's just a random guy who wound up there.
Oh dear. Yeah, he has some impressed labor in his on his island in Wind Waker, which is bizarre. I still can't believe that Ben was like, so who's Tingle? And I was like, I don't know. I can't answer this.
Let me explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up.
Yeah. Can't even, though.
Yeah.
It's like, here's what you need to do to understand who Tinkle is. First, you got to play Majora's Mask. So good luck with that. Then you got to play Wind Waker, which is great. No worries. Then, I don't know, whatever other, like, good luck understanding what Tinkle is.
Yeah.
So there is this little Tinkle's like mini game thing that you can do, and there's like a bunch of different mini games that look pretty fun. But it seems like it kind of randomly pops up while you're playing. Like I don't know if you can choose to go to his little tower or control it or whatever, but that seemed cute. We didn't get that to show up in our game when we were playing.
Yeah, it took us a long time to get it going, so we didn't have a whole time to play.
We played a few. We played for a couple levels, a couple little
like
sub levels, I think.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'd be interested in playing more at some point. I'd need to reformat my keyboard better.
Yeah.
And not be player one, because I don't like having the computer player attached to me.
Way too much responsibility.
Yeah,
have
I'm going to be responsible for this random guy.
We need to find a fourth player, or we need to get a GameCube, get the game, and get 4 Game Boy Advance control attachments.
And the 4 links.
Yeah, and 4 link cables. What could possibly be difficult about that? I wonder how... I definitely didn't look at the ranking, but I wonder how popular this game was at the time. Like... Because it seems like a lot. There's a lot of rigmarole.
Yeah. And do you know, was the game released at a full game price?
Probably. Because it's a whole game. It has way more content than Four Swords does.
For sure. But then in order to play, you still would... I mean, I guess you could play a single player with just a controller. That's true. But, I mean, to really get the... You would need a bunch of link cables, a bunch of Game Boy Advances, friends...
Friends. It's the hardest part.
They never go on sale.
Yeah, I know. And they all have to like Zelda. It's even like you're saying, like even your brother, like, and he likes video games. Like he didn't want to play, so you have to have a couple people who want to play a Zelda multiplayer game with you. So.
Yeah, it's like I was saying. It's like I've had friends who I'd play video games with, but they weren't really like into Zelda. Like, you just play Smash Brothers or Mario Kart. Like
Mario Kart, Pokemon Stadium. I was talking to Mike about Pokemon Stadium the other day. And I was like, we should do that. And then I was thinking about the logistics, because now you could play it online, I think, with the Switch. But then it's like, everybody has to pay for the subscription. Everybody has to want to do that. And then I was like, I'm not going to ask the friends anyway. Which is like kind of the same as this.
Stadium 2.
I didn't play Stadium 2 as much, but I would be willing to try if people want to do that.
Yeah.
If our friend group wants to try that. I remember playing at somebody else's house at least one time, but we mostly played Stadium 1. So
yeah, I think I brought it over to play one time, but like I don't know, we were having some compatibility issues. Like my cart was a little damaged, or your system didn't want to read it, something like that. So
classic. This sounds just like the other day when we were trying to play these games.
This is the eternal plague of trying to play multiplayer games. It's never easy.
Yeah. Or like one of the cords is messed up, or like you can't just one of the controllers is wonky.
Yeah, you've got 2 good controllers and then the crappy third-party controller that nobody wants. There's always something. It's never been easy to play multiplayer games.
But yeah, so like just that in and of itself, like I wonder, I don't know. And it seems like it was when we were looking at purchasing, like when I was acquiring all of the Zelda games I didn't have when we were preparing for this, Four Swords Adventures was quite expensive. It was one of the ones that was really expensive to like buy used, and I'm guessing that means there weren't a lot of them produced.
Yeah.
I feel like GameCube games are pricey in general.
They are. I think they're desirable. Like I think a lot of people are trying to.
Yeah, I think we've hit that point in the nostalgia cycle that people are seeking it out who played it as kids.
And also, like, I think there were just way, way, way more N64 games that were produced. Like, it's really easy to buy N64 games.
Yeah.
Like, legitimate N64 games on eBay. The number of, like, the counterfeit copies of, like, Minish Cap and stuff that we were trying to find, like, that we had seen were, like, it was pretty wild. That was surprising to me when I was searching for Zelda games. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about GameCube games that like they're just, I guess they're desirable, and there's not a lot of them. I don't know. But I think actually I've been thinking about Four Swords Adventures ever since we played it, because I was like, it is weird that like Nintendo is a company that will do this. And it's like interesting and strange where they just like do weird things. They're able to like, like mass produce weird stuff. Like who pitched like, okay, listen, I've got a great idea. We're gonna like, they'll play the game. They'll buy the new game, and then they'll also play with their like Game Boy Advance, which was probably like had been out for several years at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this, and you have to get a special adapter and like to play. It's a multiplayer game, and every player has to have one. Who's sitting in a boardroom and is like, yeah, that's a great idea. Everybody's going to buy this game. Like,
yeah.
But then Nintendo's like, yeah, let's sell it. Like, it's very interesting. I don't know. And I can't tell if I enjoyed it or not, but it was intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
The game also has like, we didn't play far enough, but there's also like a dark world where when you go into the dark world, then you're controlling your player like on the Game Boy screen. But you can interact with stuff on the main screen. So there was like a thing that I was watching where like a player in the dark world had to pick up another player who was in the light world and then like control them. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we played like the first 2 levels or something like that, and I feel like you get into the mechanics towards the later parts of the game. So like we saw a very brief introduction, but I think you can do some very cool and interesting things where you do need other people, and like the multiplayer aspect of it I think really shines, or at least you see it more because they're just introducing it to you slowly at the beginning. So I think there's definitely some cool things where because you have 4 players, they're similar puzzles that you kind of like recognize from old Zelda games, but they add that multiplayer like aspect to it. So now you have to approach it instead of how you would normally do it. And like if you were to see it, say in like A Link to the Past, you now have 2 people to do it. But, yeah. So I mean, I think I really enjoyed it. Again, we played Four Swords Adventure. Yeah, Four Swords Adventure especially. I think. Was really fun and interesting, and like again a really interesting way of bringing in classic things that you've seen from Zeldas and being able to approach it through a different avenue.
Yeah, like a different because you have to use a different strategy when you play either Four Swords Adventures or Four Swords, because even things that are like, oh, this item is like, sometimes some players don't have certain items, or like certain players are required to do certain things first.
Or you like the chaining of one item then the other, or things like that. Yeah.
Or just like having to throw people, or kind of being like assigned to an activity that you have to do by color or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and then one other thing that I noticed, and I think we talked about while we were playing, was like in Four Swords Adventures, the graphics of the game, even what's being played on the TV through the GameCube console, has this sort of like Game Boy Advance-esque aesthetic. But then there's other things that are sort of layered on top. Like we saw when in the area that we were playing, it was like the shiny like portal graphic, or like the there was this sort of like pedal effect when you like, I think it's when you pull out the sword, or like when Vaatis shows up. I forget when you release Vaatis. I forget exactly. I think it was when you release Vaatis.
Yeah.
And like smoke effect. And that shows up in other areas like later in the game. Like when you throw bombs, they have this like curly smoke effect, kind of like Wind Waker. So there's it's kind of like aesthetically a very interesting game, because it like is pulling from the nostalgia, and like also how it needs to, I guess, aesthetically match with what can render on the Game Boy Advance. But then like what you see on the TV has like some enhancements on it. So it has this like mix of styles, which is pretty cool. So I enjoyed that too.
Yeah, it was really pretty. I liked the graphics of the game.
Yeah, me too.
It's kind of got that vibe of like when people make like 16-bit style games, but like they're doing things like you could never do on a 16-bit system.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like a really modern, like all those modern games that are trying to like emulate 8-bit or 16-bit games, but they're made for like a modern day PC where there's like there's like effects that you wouldn't have, but then the style of like most of the graphics is like bitmapped kind of stuff. At least that's what it looks like. So it's very interesting. Oh, one thing that was in all 3 games, which like was kind of interesting, and I totally forgot, even though we had played a lot of Triforce Heroes, was there's like announcements about other players that happen in your screen. So there's stuff that'll be like, oh, this person did this, or like this person got hit, or player 1 picked up a bomb, or like so. And it's kind of this like running like ticker of stuff that happened, and that was definitely in Four Swords Adventures. Pretty sure it was also happening in Four Swords. And then in Triforce Heroes, there's like a lot of stuff that it's constantly saying stuff in the screen about what's happening to other players, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of those games you were talking about where they were like streamed online, the like updated version of like Zelda 1 or whatever, and people could play it in Japan and have those things happening live. So there would be like an announcement. It's like, oh, this just happened over somewhere else on the map, and just like the like style of it, like announcements popping up as you're like doing your thing.
I don't know if there's other multiplayer games that have that kind of thing. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I think a lot of them will have like some little thing where it's like I know like in Splatoon it'll be like the other team got the
true
thing stuff. So like those kind of things you need to know. But
I mean, sometimes they'll display it in different ways. Like in group games, you know, they'll have like when someone's health is low, you'll see their health bar pop up in which direction they're at or something like that as a way to sort of be like, if you have a way to heal them, you may want to go this way. They might need help. Or, I mean, I mean, that specifically with the text going through, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I mean, I think it's just very similar to other similar ways that they would in multiplayer games that they let you know about what your teammates are up to. Yeah,
it was interesting the amount of things. That's true. And like I think the amount of things that were carried from all the way from Link to like from Four Swords to Triforce Heroes. That was one of the things that I noticed immediately. Where I was like, oh, they had the text back then too, because like the style of Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures is pretty similar, but like the visual styling and the plot and like the setting are all completely different in Triforce Heroes, but some of the gameplay was very similar to Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures. Like in Triforce Heroes, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, but like players are sort of distinguished by, they can't be distinguished by color because like you can wear different outfits, which is obviously an integral part of the game. But like players can pick up different items. So sometimes someone is the player who has the item that you need for like a certain step of the fight, or like to access a certain item or solve a certain puzzle or whatever. So it becomes a very interesting co-op experience because you have to rely on each other for like different roles in the game, basically.
Yeah.
Triforce Heroes is also really funny because it has like, so it's set. There's no Vaatis, not the enemy in it. So it takes a completely different sort of like approach to multiplayer-ness, like the whole story and everything from Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures, where it's like it takes place in Hytopia, and then it's like the inciting incident is that the princess who like was super fashionable got like cursed and wasn't able to change outfits or whatever. I think that's it, right?
Something like that. Yeah, pretty much.
Like an ugly jumpsuit or something.
It's kind of like reminds me of like a paper doll, where they're like the paper doll has like a face, but like the body's kind of like plain. She's in this kind of like jumpsuit thing, and you can't even see her hair or whatever.
Yeah.
And then everything is puns. All the dialogue is full of puns, which is hilarious.
Yeah, puns and dated slang.
That was. What was the one specific line that I made a comment about when we were playing? I'm trying to remember.
There was something about like looking at adorbs.
Adorbs,
yeah. It kind of works for me because it was like so over the top, like it was still even at the time. So like it's just, like it being dated just makes it even better.
Yeah.
It's definitely a snapshot of 2000.
And like some of the slang was like deliberately dated at the time, like the like the photo bro who's like using like surfer slang and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where that stems from.
Definitely had fun with the translation on this one.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like that I wonder if it's full of slang like in Japanese as well, and then they just chose to localize it to that kind of slang, or is it they just chose to localize it that way just because? Like, I don't know. Like, obviously the story is sort of like over the top and has a lot of puns in it. Like just the story itself, because it's like the king, whatever their names are, like probably puns. So maybe they just decided to. That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
It's such a cute game. Everything about Triforce Heroes is like super fun.
Yeah.
And cute. I enjoyed playing that. At the time and when we played it recently.
Yeah. I think we played. Did you ever play with just randos?
No, I never played with randos.
Yeah, I think that would be a bit harder. Because we always were able to communicate, and so there are buttons with specific things that you can say, like throw, pick up, use your item, but come here. But like, if you can't use your voice, you're and like someone's stuck, you're really reliant on them. And then there's also people like who will act in bad faith and just troll because they can, just throw you off a cliff and stuff like that all the time. And...
Yeah, it'd be tragic if your friends did that. That certainly never happened while we played.
I think I was watching a playthrough of, this is sort of related, but I was watching some other people play through Four Swords Adventures, and they also struggled to line up on the thing at the end, like stand on the little square, pick places to stand at the end, which is the hardest thing to coordinate apparently in the whole game. Yeah. Yes, that certainly never happened though. With our friends. And not recently. I feel
like there's a lot of like chaotic fun with Triforce Heroes. I think because the like picking up and throwing is like much more of a thing, since they got the whole like totem
stacking
thing.
The stacking,
So like there's lots of times where like I think one of the favorites from a recent play is like I had like picked up Kazum and he pulled out a bomb, and so I like threw him and you caught him. Ellen caught him.
Yeah, we like competitive
threw him back. And,
like, like, no, you take it back. Throw the bomb. Or I liked insisting on picking people up because I didn't want to be responsible for like doing the thing, like shooting. Like you have to like maybe you pick up 3 people and somebody has to shoot like the enemy that's up high, and I was like, I don't trust me with this. Y'all can't trust me with this. Somebody else has to do this.
Yeah, but then if you're on the bottom, you're responsible for aiming. So
yeah.
Yes. That it didn't.
Yeah, we struggle with this like tall Deku sprouts.
Yeah, I know.
Because like by the time we're lined up and ready to go, they're shooting at us, and we have to like avoid.
And then it knocks you all down.
Yeah, so we have to get back up, and then
I was just gonna say, like, you were talking about playing with people online, and like, the game speed is like way too fast to use those emojis to talk to people. Like,
I mean, I think that's if they're stuck, like someone is somewhere where they really shouldn't be. Like, no, really, we need you over here, or something like that. Or if they're like if they're not throwing you, and you like, no, like that, what we need is you to throw me here. Yeah. But
yeah, I guess that could work. But
the most
for
important
normal
emoji is the little cheerleader emoji. So
definitely, definitely. As for at the end screen, until it cuts off input, I'm always pressing it, even in the background. But it's so fun, and all the outfits are so fun. That was like my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the outfits are nice, and they all have like different unique things. So there's an outfit for each item, which enhances the item in one way or another, and like other unique effects like swimming faster or bigger spin attacks, more health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They all have that special effect.
They do all have that special effect. But yeah, I demanded that we play until I could get the cute Zora outfit because I think it's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing that we talked about, which is sort of tangentially related, but we did talk about it while we were playing, which is like, it's a game like many modern games where like you have to start over to like, you can't make multiple profiles or save profiles for it, which is just like, I think it was just kind of an interesting point. We didn't talk about that when we played Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild is also like that, where like if you want a new save file, you have to make another like account on your console. If you wanted a different save file. So I thought that was something that came up while we were playing that was like, yeah, I forget that modern games, like there's no extra save files. Like a lot of the time you just get one. So I don't know how I feel about that. Not great.
Like Nintendo especially has been doing that a lot lately. It's like Pokemon has always been like that, but most of their other games weren't until recently. Because like there's always multiple save files on a Zelda game until Breath of the Wild.
There's not enough memory on a Pokemon console, on a cartridge to accommodate more than one save file.
Yeah, that's probably why it was for the first game, and then they just made it a series tradition because the first game was a coding mess.
Right, exactly. But I don't know. It's like it's nice to be able to have multiple save files. I kind of wish more modern games would have that, but I don't.
Yeah.
This one at least had a built-in like delete your save and start over option. A lot of the ones like on the Switch, you have to like go into your Switch save data and like manually delete it instead of being able to just start over in the game. Yeah,
that was true. I really enjoyed. I guess this is it's sort of related to this topic. It's not related to multiplayer games, but I liked it when we were playing N64 games and stuff because you could just like turn the console off if you needed to redo something. Like you could just not save and be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna get to a place and then save, and then like, oh no, I'm about to die, and then just turn the console off and turn it back on, and then you get to the place again. And like I feel like with a lot of modern games, you also can't do that anymore. Like strategically turning the console off is like it's like a strategy that you could use in older games that now you can't. So it's kind of interesting too. Just something that I specifically noticed while we were working on this series. There was like, I forgot. I like, oh well, with this N64 game, I can just like save and turn the console off. But like, you can kind of do that.
Like, quick resets anymore? I don't
know. I don't think so. I don't think the Switch does.
No.
You could unplug it, maybe.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the other ones had like reset buttons, or they had like a button combination you could hit to soft reset the game and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember doing that with Pokemon a lot, like if I wanted a certain gender for my starter.
Yeah. And then you just like turn it off, and then you can you can redo it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like now, at least to do that with Pokemon, you'd have to turn it off or reboot it.
The title.
Cancel. Probably you have to go delete your save file because it probably auto-saved.
Yeah.
And then do the whole interaction again.
I do remember as a kid like scrambling to like turn off a console as it was trying to save when after like I messed something up. Like,
no.
Not yet.
I mean, vice versa. Like I had, like the console slips and then the power falls out, and then it's like, no, everything I just did that I didn't save. Yeah, me too. But it's just like, I wish you could I wish sometimes, and I felt like in Tears of the Kingdom, the autosave wasn't as frequent or as good as Breath of the Wild. I don't remember if we talked about it, but there are some times where I would die and then respawn and be like, this isn't even close to where I was. Like, when was the last time you saved, game? How dare you?
Yeah.
It was pretty good if you like walked into a battle, you walked into something, or you went into like a cutscene or whatever. But like some stuff, it would be like, you last saved like 10 minutes ago. Like, what are you doing? And I feel like I didn't have that problem with Breath of the Wild, and I never responded and was like, oh no, all my work that I did in the last 5 minutes, So
I remember playing like the entirety of Yoshi's Story, like at a friend's house on N64, like later on, so I was used to autosaves. And pro tip, that game does not autosave. So I got like all the way to the final boss and died, and then I was back at the beginning of the game. I was like, what the fuck?
Because you just didn't save at any point?
Wow. Yeah, I never manually saved because it didn't occur to me. And it never prompted me to. Usually old games, even if they don't manually save, they'd be like, you just beat the boss, you want to save? And you're like, yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm pretty most of them would save at least after a boss. Like at least
right?
Yeah, not Yoshi's Story. I don't know. Think about it. Not Yoshi's Story. Well, Yoshi's Story is obviously like one of the highest grossing games and the most complicated.
I mean,
games.
It's an easy. I got to the end in like 2 hours, but that was still 2 hours.
That is impressive. I never got through Yoshi's Story because I always died too fast as a child. So I'm impressed. Child me is impressed.
I was playing it as an adult. So
yeah, I should play.
It's one I never had. I like remember renting it a couple times as a kid, but
my sister really liked Yoshi as a child, so we had it.
Yeah, same with my sister.
I like Yoshi's story because it was cute, because I like cute. This is why I like Pokemon, is because it's cute. Yoshi's story is also cute, except when you die, which I did because I was always not good at video games, then they all get taken away. And it's like, I don't want to be killing Yoshis. So too much stress for me as a child. It's like I both love and it made me sad to play Yoshi's story.
Yeah.
Probably now I could play it though. If you can beat it in 2 hours, then I can play it at least and not die, probably. Oh yeah, and also all the music. Sorry, getting back to Zelda, looking at my notes. This is like quite a meandering episode, but
yeah,
it's unstructured.
It's unstructured. This is why we have a structure for our normal episodes, because we do tend to rant.
Yes,
but that's fine. That's why the people are here. What I was going to say was, I like that in Triforce Heroes, the qualification for being a hero is just that you have pointy ears, blonde hair, and a side part. Like, oh, you meet the description perfectly. We've been looking for someone like you. You're a hero now. Go do whatever. And people are like, oh, it's so drab, we can't be fashionable. And like everything about it was funny. I just really enjoyed it. It's very cute.
Yeah, like the like wilds of the world where you go out and do your adventuring, called the Drablands.
Yeah. Again, the localization and like the script for it is hilarious. The adaptation is hilarious. It's very or whatever. It's very charming.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like it reminds me of sort of like the spirit of a lot of like DS games, where they're just like fun and charming, and like the DS and the 3DS. I mean, we were just talking about how like Nintendo is kind of like, listen, I have this wild idea. Let me make a 3D handheld console, like, or make a game with a bunch of little, where you have to have a bunch of like handheld consoles attached to a main console or whatever. I feel like the 3DS is also like a fun sort of experimental console, and I feel like the DS was like that too, and so kind of like built on that. So
yeah, I think the DS and 3DS are also where they kind of like hit their stride and like having fun with localization.
Yeah, probably. That's how you get like Ace Attorney.
Yeah, like the Ace Attorney series is a great like fun localization, and like the Pokemon games started getting a little silly with their localizations around that time.
What did they do differently? Like, I'd have to think about it, but do you know?
Oh, they just, like they did stuff. They like involved more like silly slang and memes and stuff like that would appeal to people, kids playing it at the time and stuff.
Maybe they had like a change in direction instead of kind of, because I do think like, now that you mention it, a lot of the older games like don't really have a lot of slang. Like Ocarina of Time doesn't have any slang as far as I can remember when we were playing it, and like Majora's Mask, all those games from like the 90s, like N64 games.
Yeah.
There's nothing really that makes them like.
Majora's Mask had a no scrubs reference, but
did it?
Yeah.
Did it?
It did. Yeah. When you're getting the like codes from the kids, the bombers, they say like, I don't want no scrubs because you're a scrub, and then like the kids go like, yeah, no scrubs.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I can't think of other things though. Like Ganon's not like, sup, what's up, or whatever. Like, yeah, they're a little more fun and like not so. They're a little more of their time, you know. And Triforce Heroes is like that. The dialogue is like that. It's really funny. Oh, and I also thought that one, out of all the ones we played, I mean, that one was the easiest to
set up.
Well, yeah, it was easy to set up, but it was also the easiest to control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Like in terms of like picking people up, like kind of, and I don't think it was just because we were using an emulator for for Four Swords Adventures. Like I think it was just like the controls, the in-game controls were actually just easier to use.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like being like, because like I think Four Swords Adventures kind of has the same challenges of like those any of the Game Boy games that we played, where it's like you have to, like the sword has to be in exactly the right place. Like you can kind of like miss if you're, or like your directions can be off or whatever, stuff like that. Like it's a little bit, those like Game Boy controls are a little bit challenging sometimes, I think. I remember we had talked about it, complaining about it during one of the Game Boy games that we played. Maybe Link's Awakening, maybe Link to the Past.
Probably one of those two.
Where it's just like, because you just, like the sword is kind of like there's no diagonal movement. The sword's kind of like picky about you got to be on exactly the right square sometimes and stuff like that. And even though it's a GameCube game, it still has that in it somehow. So like, it's hard to coordinate.
Well, because I think the Game Boy Advance doesn't. I mean, I guess you could have done two directions at the same time, but you don't use the stick, so it's definitely not like you don't have circular movement, at least like you would if it were just a GameCube game.
Exactly. So Triforce Heroes was therefore the easiest and funnest to play out of all of them, I thought.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, they made the cooperative elements, I think, a little more heavy in the Triforce Heroes, which does make it a bit more challenging, right? Because you all have to be on the same page. Like, as we said, like, sometimes with the DQ Scrubs, we'd be a tower and the person would be ready to aim, but, like, to avoid something, you move at the last second, so you launch your arrow and you miss.
Right.
And then, like, you're like, oh, I think they're lining up, so I'm about to shoot, and it turns out that they were just trying to get back in position, and then you're out of energy. So, like, I think there's definitely some challenges with the.
I think like a lot of players, you have to be individually responsible for a lot of things, even though it's a co-op, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I think you're a co-op, but you like rely on one player more than relying on all players for things.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's like the difference.
Yeah, and I think because like in Four Swords, from what I remember, if you pick someone up, they really don't have much that they can do.
There's literally nothing they can do. That's why we were joking. Right.
So like so that you pick them up because you want them to move. You pick them up to make it like, again, if they're the odd one out, that one of the NPCs, you can move them in position so the other person can go do a thing when they're not there. But like, yeah, for the most part, you're not really reliant on one person for moving. One person being the legs, one person being the hands, basically. And then on top of that, with Triforce Heroes, you can stack people up to 3 tall instead of just 2 tall. So then you have a middleman who really can't do anything. Their job is just,
it's just to be tall.
Weight. Yeah. And so, I think it's, I mean, it's more complex gameplay, but it also, it's a little more like, I think like fun, frustrating, I don't know if have any of you ever played Magica?
No.
That's a multiplayer game where you're wizards and you can cast spells, but like, I think you can harm your teammates, especially with certain spells. So there's one that like you can cast and it'll strike lightning down on just one person on the field, and most of the time it'll be an enemy. But every now and then you accidentally like kill your ally, so you have to revive them, and like you might do a thing that causes things to like explode. So now you've been pushed into a terrible location because the person did something, and so like it's mayhem, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of just have like you can definitely have a lot of fun with it, even though it's not going your way, And I think you get a lot of that in this game.
It was definitely like chaotic fun.
Yeah, it was still like fun and funny even when we were failing to do the thing. So
I feel like we definitely laughed a lot while we were playing Triforce Heroes, more so than Four Swords Adventures.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think we yelled at each other more when we were playing Four Swords Adventure. We were like, get over here. Why are you in the house? No, I need to stop hitting you, stop lighting everything on fire. Like there was a lot of like that. Or like, oh my god, we're all on fire. Oh, don't throw me off the sink. Why did you miss? But with Triforce Heroes, a lot of like, oh no, everybody, throw me up here. Oh, hit the thing. Oh no. We need hearts. Throw this person over here. You're like, everybody attack. And then at the end, everybody's doing their like little cheerleading emojicon, emote. I can't talk. Emote. I'm like, is it an emoji? Is it an emoticon? I don't know anymore. Anyway, they're doing their little emote, like cheering thing, which is really cute. Like, oh, and then everybody was doing we were sarcastically doing the like shrug one, which was really funny. Yeah, I definitely think that in Triforce Heroes has kind of like, it's chaotic, but the level of challenging things you have to do is not that hard. So the chaos is like part of what makes it hard. Like part of the challenge is the chaos.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Four Swords Adventures is like part of the challenge is overcoming the chaos because the puzzle is hard or whatever. Like it requires more of your skill. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Whereas Triforce Heroes is a little easier, but it's more chaotic.
Yeah,
I guess.
And I think that also shows up in like the environments as well. It's not just you, but like because I'm thinking of the water level that we did, where there is like a whirlpool in one area, and if you got out of that segment, the water pushed you in a different path, and so like just if you accidentally like you have to pick someone up and throw them, and if they fell off in the wrong area, they're just a slave to the current, wherever it takes them. Have to get back, and like so and then there's a lot of areas where you can fall down and you're like, oh no, I have to get back up here. So I think the level design as well as the gameplay both facilitate that more so than Four Swords.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's like they gave everyone in Triforce Heroes, each player has a lot of individual responsibility, but then like the challenges are sort of like not that difficult to individually do, and so then it becomes, like you have to use the chaotic element to like solve the puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, I like the way the items were handled in Triforce Heroes too. Where like there's 3 items in there, and like when they're all the same, it's just like everyone can do the same thing. But sometimes they have like 2 of one item and 1 of another one, and so you need to like assign roles. Like like in the water level, it's like one person would have the water rod that could like make the pillar and raise you up, but then like someone else had the arrows to shoot somebody, and so like if the person with the arrows fell down in the water, they would need someone else to, save them. But there was some like more cooperative planning with that.
And I think that also kind of makes it better. Like with Four Swords Adventures, they had the opportunity to make things really different on each player's like Game Boy Advance screen, because you all have your own screen, so you can do stuff. But like in Triforce Heroes, you all have your own screen, so you can be in different places, but it's like much more beneficial to be together. So I think they like the gameplay also forces cooperation a little bit more. It's like more of a cooperative game.
Yeah.
That I preferred, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess one interesting thing also about Triforce Heroes is like you can only play with 3 players if you're playing multiplayer.
Yeah.
As opposed to 4. So all the other, I mean, I think like basically every multiplayer game in existence on Nintendo console allows up to 4 players. So
pretty
like,
much, yeah.
It's kind of cool that Triforce Heroes is limited. It's cool and an interesting choice that's limited to 3. Like, I guess it's obviously related to like the Zelda theming, right? But
well, I think also like if you're going to be having 4 players online, I know Nintendo's not great with online.
What are you talking
and everything
about?
like that, and like I think maybe it's already chaotic with 3 people. Imagine 4 people.
Yeah.
So I think it might be that they were just able to really utilize the mechanics better with just 3 people, and thought that a 4th was not adding as much.
Yeah, the mechanics are definitely like optimized for 3. So there were, I think, in like in Four Swords Adventures, there would be like a couple of things where like maybe you need 2 people, maybe like 1 throws, or maybe you need all 4 or whatever. But like in Triforce Heroes, there were things where you specifically have to have all 3.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of the stacking and stuff was made specifically for 3. So I think because they knew there was going to be 3, you can kind of like tailor the puzzles in the level better. Like it doesn't have to be so flexible. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. Whereas like in Four Swords Adventures, like you could be playing 2-player with 2 computers, right? So you have to design the puzzles so that 2 people can control the other 2. You know what I mean? So I think it's a little different, and the puzzles have to be more flexible. But in Triforce Heroes, there's like once you've realized the thing that you have to do, it's usually like very specific, where it's like, okay, we have to be 3 tall to reach this, and like there was one where you had to successively throw multiple people. So it was like, okay, first I have to throw you, and then I have to throw another person, and then they have to throw you, or whatever. So like stuff like that, where I guess Triforce Heroes does have an individual, like has a single player mode where you can bring like a little creepy doll with you. Did either of you actually play that? Because I haven't.
I when we left, I played 1 round just to sort of see, and it was not good. Because
elaborate on how it was not good. Okay,
it's very slow, and so like instead of having everyone, all 3 people gather up, and then one person picks one person up, one person picks the other person up. You have to take one person, bring them to where you need to be. Grab another person, bring them to where you need to be. Grab another person, pick someone up, switch, pick someone up, throw, switch to the person you just throwed. Do something. So like it is a lot. Like when you need to split up and then reconvene is just such a slow process. if you need to stay together the whole time, it's a lot easier. But even then, like sometimes you need to throw someone, and then you need to switch to that person, use an item to help them get you over there, and so like it was just a very slow process, a very clunky process, I think. Where with the when we played, I felt like it was a very fast pace. Like things were always happening. We had to like avoid different things. We had to try and like stack up before we got hit, and then oh, there's people over here that we need to take care of, but there's these people. Do we take care of the people we can take care of individually, or do we meet up to take care of the thing that requires teamwork first? Like it was I felt like it was a very constantly changing environment. You're trying to gather yourself, get organized, whereas with that one, it's you move one person at a time, and it's a very different feeling, I feel.
It's more of like a puzzle game and not like a platformy type game.
Yeah,
which
I'd say that
the intent of Triforce Heroes, right?
Yeah, I'd say that sounds about right. Yeah.
Because if it's something that takes like a long time to do, and it's like you're moving like pieces around, it kind of reminds me of doing more of like the puzzly. Not that Zelda's not a puzzle game, because I think all the dungeons and stuff has puzzles, but like, yeah, like Triforce Heroes and Four Swords Adventures, I think all of them have this like there are puzzles that you have to solve with multiple people, but I would classify it more as like a platformer RPG kind of game where like you are moving through a thing, and sometimes there's stuff that you have to trigger to move forward. But like if you're playing it by yourself, I could see it as being more like a puzzle game where it's like you have to make all the decisions, you have to strategize like the order of how you're going to do things more so than just doing it, I guess. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it would require you to plan ahead to say like, okay, yes, first I need to pick up the guy and move him here, then I have to control another, and then I have to do this and that. It's like, yeah, anyway, that's kind of my impression based on what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And then like it was very difficult because sometimes I felt like I had to be really rushed too in the process, right? Like I had to use the water rod to lift them up, then I had to throw them, and then if I wasn't careful, the person who was down below might drop down and then get carried by the current, and now it doesn't matter that I was
to go back.
I have to go back. Yeah, so it was a lot of like just difficulties that way.
You also only have tedious.
Yeah, and you also have only one energy bar. So before, when like you could have one person doing their item and you're using your item, now you have the shared. So you have to do all that with I think the same amount of energy. I don't think you have extra energy, even though you're different people or you're controlling all three of them.
Yeah, require you to be more patient then.
I think so. Yeah, I could be wrong about that. I don't, but that's vaguely what I remember. So let's just say I'm right, and if someone's wrong, you can correct me.
Let us know in the comments of this episode.
Are there comments on podcasts?
Nope.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I think in Spotify there's a thing that's like you can ask questions about the episode or something, but no, not really. Like there's not really. Anyway. That was my joke. That was the joke that I made.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I understood it because I'm not well versed in.
In the comment section and then hit that bell to get notifications.
Yeah, like and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you TikTok it. I don't know what they do. Reblog it. Yeah, whatever. Retweet it.
I think you mean exit.
Yeah, re-exit.
Just exit.
So, Rexit. Oh, the visual styling also. I mean, we talked about how Triforce Heroes is really cute, but I also particularly like that kind of uses the like Toon Link style. Like they all kind of do, but Triforce Heroes in particular has like a more toony, linky style.
Yeah. Well, I think it shares the assets from Link Between
Worlds. Is
that what you said? Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
I think it does look like Link Between Worlds.
Yeah,
they must sort of share it.
Yeah, because I remember when I was watching the speed run, someone made a comment about how like, oh, it's such a pretty game. I guess they didn't like Triforce Heroes because they're like, oh, it's such a pretty game. I love it. They had such great assets. It's a shame they never used it again for any other game, right? And like, and like I also forgot about this game, so I didn't remember what they were talking about. But then I think they said it again and talked about Triforce Heroes. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah. I think at least the base for a lot of the characters are from Link Between Worlds. Pointy ears, blonde hair, and a side part.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of speedruns, I did do a little of digging into the speedruns.
Oh, did you?
So
there are
a little
speedruns
bit.
for these?
Well, saying there are is kind of well, because like which one was it? Let me see. Where are they? Pulling them up. It was Triforce Heroes actually. Is it not here? Hold on.
So much chaos though.
So for Triforce Heroes is interesting because they don't have a segment for beating the game. They have segments for each individual level.
Oh.
And then they have them for single player and multiplayer.
Okay.
So like, and then and by challenges,
would rely on your like internet connection and stuff for the in between parts.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. Yeah.
So there's challenge 1, which we didn't talk about, but like in Triforce Heroes, there are levels, and then once you beat the segment, I think you can then unlock the challenges, and each challenge has different conditions. Whether I don't remember what they were actually. I think there were some extra damage or something like that. What were they? Zero hard containers, clear within a time limit, guard the orb, pop all balloons, clear only using bombs, defeat all foes without a sword, transport the orb quickly, adventure in the dark, clear with half energy, evade the wall master.
No.
Have attack and defense. Don't pop the balloons. Avoid volcanic rock. Only bombs, no swords. Don't get hit by snowballs. Win without a sword. Don't drop the pot. Don't fall at all. Avoid falling and quicksand. Oh, so this would be, I think, don't like drop a level, right? So you can't fall from like level 2 to level 1, not just don't fall in a pitfall. I think.
Interesting.
Oh no, this is pit. Nope, this is pit. Never mind. But yeah, and clear without items. So they aren't consistent across levels, but those I guess are the types that they are. And so the speed runs for where did it go? Triforce Heroes are by each level and each challenge. So if you went to challenge 2 for stage 5, 2 and down, there is no one who has it. You could take the record, record yourself doing it, and you're set. So there's not very many runs. Most areas don't even have all 3, like first, second, and third place filled out. So it's there's not a lot, but I did watch it, and like especially the multiplayer is interesting. The single player again is that slow, clunky little bit. It's cool, they do some things that are interesting and like optimized, but the multiplayer I think is fascinating. I tried watching the Four Swords speedrun. I didn't see anything especially interesting about it. I saw it was hard to tell if it was. I think it was one player, single player. I didn't find a 4-player one, which I think would have been interesting, but I think it's just very hard to get 4 people to do a speed run.
I guess I've been using the DSi version because there is no single player on the GameCube.
I've seen it. I've seen it on the DSi. Yeah.
Yeah, the newer version had a single player version for Four Swords.
And then Four Swords Adventure was the one that I saw the most interesting sort of stuff. There's a lot of ways that you could like glitch. I think you use boomerangs and like as a way to trick the game into thinking that you're on a different level, so that you can just roll through pits and such, and you can go through barriers like walls and cliffs and such. So there's a lot of wonky stuff you can do there. But the most fascinating was I watched a task speedrun of Four Swords Adventures and of Triforce Heroes, and those were both interesting. The test speedrun, I only found one level, but it was really cool. Some of the things you could do, again, using like boomerangs, but like you could throw a boomerang out and then have someone pick you up and throw you. And then because you're a higher level, you can pick someone up who's on a higher level and drag them to you as a way to get them closer to you. And so that was interesting. And then the Four Swords Adventure one had some wild stuff where you could like I saw them like I guess if you in single player if you could group up together and do a spin attack, so you form like a plus shape and then spin around each other. And then he did something so that they all kind of like went in their own directions and like it was fascinating. I think it's interesting to watch. It's really fast paced. You probably won't know what's going on, but I thought it was entertaining at least. Yeah. There's too many times. I'm not even going to go over the times. They're not very competitive. You can take a look if you want your own record. Again, this is a great game. There's literally so many open things. You can have any time and you'll be first.
I love Cosmo's advice about which games you should run so that you have a speedrun record. Every time we talk about it, it makes me laugh. It's like the point is not to be competitive. The point is just to be on the leaderboard. If you just want to be on the leaderboard, do a speedrun for any of these games, apparently.
I think part of it is my completionist. I want the game to have a complete speedrun. The fact that there's sections that has zero, like, someone hasn't completed it yet.
When are you going to start submitting your speedruns then? You could be the leader.
Should.
It could be.
I could be. I will be. Look out.
You heard it here first.
Triforce Hero speedrun is just going to be full of Cosmo.
Does it count? I was going to say, yes. Does it count? Does the time needed to set up the fucking ROM count? Because
I mean, we might be able to petition the people to have a new category.
Post.
We should speedrun setting it up.
The ROM. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we cut the world record of getting this into a playable state.
For real. I don't believe that we have a world record for that. I'm sure that there's people who are like know things and did better. Do you have any other specific things to say about specific games? We can kind of meandering through, but I was wondering if it's time to start wrapping up.
I think I'm set. I don't have much more to say.
Did you have a favorite out of these?
I mean, I always liked Four Swords Adventures, but playing Triforce Heroes, as we said, it was a lot more fun. I think it was, yeah. But I think back then, especially when I was playing it with my friend, I was more into the like competitive, the challenging, like trying to do it to take as little damage as possible, that sort of thing. And I think that game offers up a more challenging and more
like Swords Adventures.
Yeah, Four Swords Adventures has a more expected, like more manageable challenge where like you can anticipate it and improve, whereas I think Triforce Heroes has a lot of more variables where like it's just more hectic, as we said, and so it's so I think for that reason Four Swords Adventures, if that's what you're looking for, Four Swords Adventures is better for it, which is what I think I was looking for back in the time, but like I don't know if I'd have the patience to do that these days.
I guess you can definitely optimize better for yourself as a player in Four Swords Adventures.
Yeah.
If that's what you mean. It's like you can
I think
compete against yourself. Like you can better yourself.
Yeah, I mean I think the challenge level was harder.
Yeah.
In the puzzle and like just the navigating the whereas like, as we said, the Triforce Heroes, the challenge was often coordinating everyone together. We were the challenge rather than the game itself.
With friends we made along the way. I agree with that.
But no, I think I'd say that Triforce Heroes is a better game.
I mean, I definitely personally preferred Triforce Heroes. But
yeah.
Go ahead, Kayla.
Yeah, I feel like I really respect like the ambition of Four Swords Adventures, and I feel like it could be really cool if you could like get it, like especially in the like original intended setup, like 4 people sitting in front of a TV with their little Game Boy Advances and stuff, and
clicking and clacking away.
I think I could be. I think I could get really into it if we could get it like set up properly and like dedicate some time to it. But Triforce Heroes was definitely the most fun to just like pick up and jump in and play and just have wacky Zelda times. So
I think even if we had the equipment to set up Four Swords Adventures, it still would have been a pain. Like, compared to Triforce Heroes, like I think there's still would have been like, oh, somebody's like GBA is not working, or like I can
cable got
there
disconnected, or
I definitely remember having trouble getting my GBA to connect to like other games when I try to use like Animal Crossing Island and stuff like back in the day. Sometimes, so I can imagine like having some trouble with the setup.
But yeah, it definitely had the potential to be really cool.
The
way the game is, the concept of the game is cool.
And I think, again, like, for its time, right, I think it was, like I don't think it holds up as well because of, there's the challenges of all of it. It's definitely a unique novel factor, so it was something that I think I was more willing to put up with because, like, it's what other game did that where you had 5 screens to play the game on,
Yeah.
At the time, Halo? But that's a whole different, like, it doesn't even compare, I think,
It was 2004, so there were definitely, I mean, I hadn't really gotten into, like, computer gaming as much back then. There were, like, MMOs and, like,
things
but, like that, but, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I
not
mean,
where you're
like
holding another screen.
Yeah. And again, like Halo, you could, LAN party with, if you had the 4 TVs, 4 Xboxes. But again, it's not the same sort of thing,
Right.
And so I think that for what it was trying to do with the technology they had, I think it's fantastic. I think, again, just playing it now is more it's frustrating. There's, hiccups and challenges. It wasn't the best system, but it's what they had,
And definitely they kind of, like, evolved that concept to the Wii U.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
There were more games that worked better for the Wii U, where you had a different type of play on the Wii U gamepad screen, and it worked a lot more seamlessly. Like, it wasn't exactly the same, but conceptually it's pretty similar, where there's, like, different stuff happening. Sometimes the Wii U gamepad is the main screen. Sometimes it's like a separate save menu, and sometimes it's like a player has something different on that screen, and I feel like it this Four Swords Adventures resembles that most.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because they had a few, like, sort of what's the word for it? It's not.
I'm thinking it's like the Mario platform games had stuff like that. Like
I'm thinking like there's a word for it in like multiplayer where like where it's not like you don't all have like the same things. It's like lopsided multiplayer, but that's not something like that. Asymmetrical, something like that.
Yeah. Asymmetrical.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they had a few things like that where it's like the person with the gamepad would be doing something completely different, while like the other players would be like trying to stop them.
Was it Luigi's Mansion, I think, that had a neat feature where it was a multiplayer game where one person was trying to, like, hunt down everyone, so they had a map so they could see where everyone else was, or something like that, right?
Something like that.
Oh, so you didn't know where they were, but they could look at the screen and see where you were, and they had their own screen. Something like, so, like, they definitely tried to utilize that. I don't know if they I feel like they could have done a lot more with the Wii U, but I think it was a very cool idea.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of ideas for it, but since it was such a poorly selling console, they didn't get to do as much with it as they wanted to.
I think that is sort of the problem.
Yeah. I realized there is one thing that I wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about, because you asked if there was anything else. There is one more thing, and that is Four Swords Adventure had one huge problem. And that was that annoying sound when you were shifting from one screen to the other. And it was like, okay, now look at your screen. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right. Anyways, I got that.
In general, the GBA sounds were kind of irritating.
Yeah.
I thought that we talked about how it was, there's like, Nintendo does weird stuff sometimes. And you're like, that's interesting. But then there's a scale of like, that's interesting to like, why Nintendo?
Yeah.
And like it's a really interesting concept, but like the actual gameplay when you're playing it had me really bordering on that. Why would you do this, Nintendo? For some of the interaction between the the handhelds and the game, like the GBAs and then the GameCube, where it's just like I don't enjoy switching back and forth between them. It's like, now look at the screen, now look at the TV, now look at the little screen, now look at the TV, and it's like, in concept of like, if like being able to, I think like we hadn't gotten to the element of the game where you go to the dark world and stuff like that. Like maybe that would have been more fun, but like it was a little bit weird to be like, go into a house, now you're looking at down at your handheld, and then you leave the house and now you're looking at the TV, and it's kind of like, it's like interesting, but is it fun? Like it was a lot of like context.
I do feel like it'd be more not seamless, but less of a thing if you were just like holding it in your hands and stuff, like rather than trying to like find your mini screen on your
on your computer. Definitely not what we were doing. Yes,
while everyone else is going around and stuff. And I feel like the sounds would probably be less irritating too if it's just like in a room, like playing out of the tiny little GBA speakers instead of like in your headphones. GBA. But
yeah, I agree with that too, because the sound, 8-bit sounds on a high definition headphones are kind of harsh. They weren't meant to sound like they were meant to be played on like shitty headphones and like out of a little tiny
speakers like a couple feet away from your face. So like
yeah, exactly. So they don't sound good on a high definition computer like sound and headphones, But I remember I had to turn the volume way down when we were playing because there was a lot of, but yeah, the little DVD noise that plays in between is like kind of a lot.
And I think part of the problem was also we had all three screens going for all three of us. I forgot about that. Yeah,
because we were using an emulator, you could see all the other players' individual screens.
See and hear from our speakers.
See and hear.
Yeah,
I guess so. Probably. Yeah, it was a lot. But maybe in person it would be better. But it was still kind of like, I don't know. Or maybe I'm just old and can't context switch that fast anymore, You're like, oh, now I'm looking here and now I'm looking over there. And, one player's here waiting for this other player over here. Like, yeah. But it was an interesting concept. Didn't even have any other last things to say about these multiplayer Zelda experiences?
I don't think so.
Oh, the music for Triforce Heroes is really good.
Oh, it is. Yeah. They were all good, but Triforce Heroes definitely has it has music that's like different. Like I think a lot of the music was really either the same or similar to the other, like to Link to the Past. Like in Four Swords, it's obviously going to use similar sound effects and stuff because it's on the same cartridge. Four Swords Adventure is like basically reused a lot or like use similar music, reorchestrated versions or whatever. And then Triforce Heroes does this whole own other thing, which is also cute and nice. The music was really good. It's not I don't remember it using any like of the specific Zelda music, Yeah. It doesn't sound out of place, but it's not like, oh, this is the Hyrule Field theme again, or like this is Zelda's Lullaby again, or whatever. It was very charming. Well, it was fun. It was fun. We multiplayed Zelda. It was great. We learned about Vaatis more than in Minish Cap. We got his full arc. From Four Swords on.
His arc from like tiny wizard to evil cloud that kidnaps girls.
He had to become. Isn't that he wished on the Triforce to become, or he wanted to wish to become a evil sorcerer or whatever.
Yeah, something like that with the Minish Cap that could like grant wishes or whatever it was.
Yes, infinite cosmic power, itty bitty living space.
Yes.
Anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed playing Triforce Heroes, especially with y'all. It was good. We did. It was. I felt like we did the best, and it was the funnest experience playing Triforce Heroes. The chaos was what made it fun, and we played that game a lot together when it came out, and it was the same experience playing it several years later. Like it hadn't lost its charm or anything, so it was fun.
Yep.
Anyway, next, I don't have a sign off today. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, make it with the Triforce and touch it. I don't know. Etc. Make sure that you collect all your outfits, etc. I should have taken a quote from Triforce Heroes because it's funny. But yeah, it's very cute.
You got 20 years and sideburns. You're a hero.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And that's all it takes to be a hero, apparently. So thanks for listening. We're October 1st is our next episode, and we're going to be talking about spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be our last episode where we'll like talk about content, and then we'll have another finale episode where we'll talk about questions and like look at the series overall. The games that we're planning to talk about for spin-offs are the Tingle games, Hyrule Warriors, Link's Crossbow Trading, Cadence of Hyrule, and maybe a little Smash, I think. Just a little. I think that'll be fun. Those are the things that we're talking about next time. Anyway, we'll see you then. Join us for that.
Yes.
Join us.
Bye. Huh?
Bye.
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 We're well organized for this multiplayer episode.
Yeah, it's just as chaotic as Triforce Heroes. Like, throw the bomb. Stop the recording. Throw the bomb. Pick me up. Throw me. No. Turn the other way. Ooh, I'm just looking. Reddit. What are your favorite asymmetrical gaming experiences? I'm just looking at people's comments. There's the Nintendo Land. Oh yeah, there were a bunch of different Nintendo Land games.
Okay, cool.
That had little Animal Crossing mini game from Nintendo Land. Everybody's comments are like Nintendo Land. It's funny.
Yeah, I think I feel like Nintendo Land was kind of supposed to be their like proof of concept for that idea, but they never really got to do too much else with it.
I mean, Nintendo was the one. Nintendo would be the company making those games.
Oh yeah,
that utilized the Wii U gamepad. But yeah, I think the problem with the Wii U is just the adoption, right? Like, I guess people didn't really care.
Yeah, and like people like weren't sure if it was a whole new console or just like an add-on to the original Wii.
Yeah,
there's a lot of issues with it.
I was talking to Mike because we were just talking about this the other day. Like he was like, "What do you think?" Something about the Wii U and the naming and the marketing and how it didn't really make sense. It was confusing to people, and I was like, and he was like, "Do you think like the DSi and like the 3DS, why didn't it have this? Did the 3DS have the same problems as the Nintendo DS?" And I was like, I don't know. I mean, 3DS is like in the name. The thing is, like, Wii U doesn't mean anything, but 3D. So if you know one feature, if you're like a parent who doesn't know anything about video games and you're buying a console for your kid, and they're like, I want the 3D one. 3DS is in the name as opposed to DS, right? Yeah. Whereas like Wii U is like, it's like two meaningless things grouped together. And I think even things like the new 3DS versus the 3DS, even though it's stupid also, is like, it makes a lot more sense. Like the naming is like clearer in a way compared to the Wii and Wii U.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like even I was a little confused when it was first launching. Like I was like, is the gamepad just like a new add-on or like?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I Googled it and found out, but a lot of people aren't going to do that. They're just going to like
they're going to go to Walmart on Christmas Eve and buy it for their child, like so or whatever. Like I thought the Wii U was a great console, such an interesting concept, but yeah, it just didn't really take off with people like the Wii did, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that kind of a game would be interesting on the Wii U too.
I mean, like some of the the ports on there, like the Wind Waker port is like amazing because you've got the map on the gamepad and the game on the screen and stuff. Like, there's some really good, like, just even those simple uses of the gamepad made like some of the best versions of a game concept to be. So
the gamepad also has like the Wii U had. I mean, the gamepad has gyroscope controls. Which GameCube didn't. So a lot of the aiming got a lot of the like shootout portions of Wind Waker got so much easier on the Wii U too. Like anytime you have to use the boat cannon or the arrows or anything like that, it was so much easier with the Wii U gamepad or just the Wii U. I think the Wii U handheld Pro controller also has a gyroscope in it. I can't remember.
I don't believe so. Only because I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U again, and for the ones that need the gyroscope for the devices.
Oh, you have to use the gamepad?
Yeah, so you have to use the gamepad,
I see. But, I mean, like, I don't know. It's definitely a good console. It's very interesting how it just didn't perform. But it kind of, like, it's probably one of those things where it also cannibalized itself. Like, people who had a Wii, they weren't going to buy a Wii anymore. Like, it's like, or whatever. I don't know. Like, just confusing marketing.
Yeah, it's like I really like the Switch as a system, but I do miss some of that like dual screen like gameplay.
Yeah, it kind of it did the one thing that the Wii U purported to do, but it couldn't go so far, which was that you could play a game on your TV or on the Wii U screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it would work to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But if, for example, you lived in an old house that had been had been added onto multiple times, that had multiple former exterior walls inside your house, you couldn't get, not like anybody that I know, you couldn't get the console kind of like the distance. You couldn't take it that far away from the console. You couldn't take the gamepad that far away from the console, and it still worked well. I could get mine about to the deck. That was like the farthest away that I could get it from the TV.
Yeah, I could play like on the opposite end of the room, like on my bed instead of in front of the TV, but I couldn't go around the corner with it. Like,
no, it had to be in line of sight of the console, basically. I could almost get it to work through the floor in the room above, but it couldn't quite handle that.
Yeah. But like there are sometimes when I'm playing a game on the Switch and I'm like, man, I wish I could just like pull out the gamepad and have it work as like the map down here and still have the main game on the TV. But it doesn't work that way because the screen is the game system.
Yes. Because it's not magic. Yes. All the important parts are in the Switch, in the body of the Switch screen, as opposed to being in a separate console like the Wii U was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what the Switch can do when you like pull off those handles and look at how tiny it is. Like
Yeah.
It's also an amazing console.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're like, this is it. It is in the palm of my hand. This is the whole console. Like
that's fine. I wonder what they're gonna do next. Maybe it'll be something really weird. It'll be great.
Well, I guess they announced that something's coming out, right? Is it a Switch? Is it the next console, or is it an upgraded
the Switch 2, but
yeah.
I think it's supposed to be a new console, but
yeah.
Mission console. Tell us about it, Polygon. The Switch successor is slated for a second half of 2024. Well, I can't believe that's possibly true, but okay. Because they always get delayed. Everything gets delayed.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, nowadays, yeah. It could be, but
I mean, I feel like
it's a year and a half from now, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a long time to work on it. Well, just like
that's true.
The Switch has been so successful, they haven't had to like push to get a new system out.
Have they had games? No, I guess they have. Yeah, because they have the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite, right? Those are the newer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are newer. That's true. They did release two consoles technically in between, but I mean, like the Switch OLED it might have some different components, but I think all the software and stuff is the same.
Yeah.
It's a prettier Switch.
Yeah. I think it might have better battery or whatever to support the screen and stuff, but I don't even remember. It wasn't that much of an upgrade. And the Switch Lite is like, how about we take some features out? So
yeah.
I have one, so I like it.
Like the 2DS of the Switch.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Did they make anything like that for the Wii U? Or was it
did they made the Slim Wii? They made like another Wii before.
They made another Wii, yeah, but they didn't.
Nah,
I don't think so.
They probably didn't have the market.
I think they gave it up as a lost cause.
That makes sense.
But they also had the 3DS at that time.
That's true, and that was very popular. Yeah.
Yes, so I think anything that would have been like that, where they would have like pushed more to a handheld, which is I think where I would take the Wii if I was a product owner at Nintendo. Not that I am, but like if that's what you were kind of aiming to do, then it's like, well, they're selling a crap ton of 3DSs, and then they did like 3DS, 2DS, new 3DS, new 2DS, like XL, right? So they really expanded like the product line for the 3DS. So I wouldn't be surprised if like that was kind of where the console development money was going in Nintendo, in between the Wii U and the Switch times. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I wouldn't be surprised, but because I feel like for a long time it was like there was a while between the Wii U and the Switch, and there wasn't a lot of upgrades in between, and not even a lot of special consoles. Like they did the Wii U and then the Zelda one, but like I don't remember there being that many special edition Wii U's or anything like that too. So or even like peripherals. Like for the Wii, they released all those like the Wii Fit things and like the gun thing, which we'll talk about next episode. And like What other things? I just feel like the Wii had a bunch of stuff, and the Wii U didn't. They didn't. Yeah, it didn't seem like they invested that much in it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be. Blah 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 blah. Is it backwards compatible? There's not very much in here that was revealed about it. I think they just said they're working on it. Where are the leaks?
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. If it's like less than 2 years, like less than a year, no, it's just over a year away.
Just over a year, yeah.
Because it'll be like Christmas or Black Friday 2024 if they say it's going to be late 2024.
I don't know. Nintendo's like to do this, like, hey, look at this new game. It's out tomorrow. Recently, so.
They're like, oh, by the way, we ported all your favorite N64 games and didn't announce it at all, or whatever. I hope they keep the Switch eShop forever, or like whatever the equivalent of it forever.
Yeah.
I logged into the eShop today just by chance to see if you could still access anything, and you can't. So it's gone forever.
You said just by chance, like you tripped and fell into the eShop.
No, like I wanted to see if there's anything available by chance. If they didn't actually cut up, maybe they had free stuff you could still download, or maybe there was something you could still access. But it's like it logs into the eShop, and then it's like, whoa, look at this amazing like what's their like platinum collection thing called? They have like Nintendo edition or whatever. You know, the one that have the like red packaging and whatever.
Yeah,
I can't remember what
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was their special collection. It's like, hey, look at these special collection games. Only $30. It's like, oh, $30 for like Ocarina of Time 3D special edition. And then it's like you go scroll over to it and it's like game not available. I was like, okay, thanks. Like, so no, nothing was available.
Just change the screen to be like, can I interest you in a Switch?
They should just delete the eShop from people's. I guess you can go and re-download games that you already have. So maybe they have to have support for that. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't think about it until I just said it just now, but it's like, I guess they can't delete it. But it should just log into the thing and be like, the screen should just be like, there is no new stuff. Like, why is there even a carousel of games? It's like, the eShop is now closed. Or just like, it changes to a screen with all your digital things that you can re-download or whatever. I don't know. Could be
just
better, but it's Nintendo. They don't care.
A big sad face.
Like Sad Mac, but it's like a little sad Nintendo DS. I like it.
Yeah. They got the little eShop dude has a face. He can just be sad.
Sad little shopping bag or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just, I guess they're desirable, and there's not a lot of them. I don't know. Going around.
Fortunately, I already own Chibi Robo, so I don't have to spend $200+
Actually, the most wild.
I looked up once and it was so expensive.
Did I? Oh no, I don't think either of you were there. I think I was telling our other people in our friend group about this yesterday, but I was looking just like I loaned my copy of Pokemon Emerald to someone as a child, and by as a child I mean like a teen or whatever, whenever that game was out.
Yeah.
And they never gave it back, and I was just like, oh, I wonder if I can buy one on eBay. It's probably not that expensive. It's a Game Boy Advance game. Genuine copies of Pokemon Emerald are like $100 at least. That's like a minimum.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, and then I don't know. And then they're like, people are selling that. There was a graded one that I saw that was like a shit ton of money, like $2,000 or something. Like, what are we doing? It's Pokemon Emerald. Like, why? There should be 1 million of these. Why is it listed so high for such a high price on eBay? Like, it's very strange to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't as popular as like whatever Ruby and Sapphire or whatever the other ones in that generation are, but yeah. Anyway, so screw you, person I loaned it to in the past. You should go sell it for a butt ton of money. Y'all also weren't there, as a side note, but apparently there's like a run on eBay right now of those like Black Diamond Collection Disney VHS tapes. And yeah, right, exactly. And like, who's buying a VHS? But people are selling them for like, it'll be like a lot of like 6 for like $500. Like, what is wrong with people? Like, why do you want this? And they're all like, they're from the 90s, and they were all like owned by children with little grubby children hands, and so all the like plastic, all of the cases are like in bad condition and stuff. People are still selling them for like hundreds of dollars. It's like, what is happening to the world?
I would not like of things to collect from like tapes, with just how like anytime you put it in, there's a good chance that it's just gonna be destroyed when you try and take it out. You know, like there's no rhyme or reason sometimes. So like that's the risky investment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember my copy of Babe 2 Pig in the City just got devoured by my built-in VCR when I had the like TV VCR combo as a kid, and like the VCR and the tape were just gone. Like
to this day, I'll never be able to use this tape ever.
It's probably still in there somewhere in a landfill.
You're totally right, but then the other thing is,
there's some older technology I understand the like desire to go back to, but not
VHS
tapes or audio tapes. Like I see people selling audio tapes again, and I'm like, why? Why would you ever want to do that?
Man, every time Taylor Swift makes a new album, she's releasing it on audio, on tapes. I'm like, who is buying tape and collecting new tapes? Like, like vinyl records, I get they seem to be able to stand the test of time, but yeah, who's buying tapes? Why are you buying tapes? If you're a person buying tapes, write me a note and tell me why you're buying them. I have questions.
Yeah. It's like vinyl and like the audio CD, quality. I understand they're both, they've got good audio quality and are fairly easy to use as long as you have something. But like tapes have never been fun.
No, you have to maintain the quality of the tape. Yeah, you have to rewind it.
Yeah. Half the time it spits out the tape, and you got to get your little pen and turn the little thing back. Wind it back in.
Just having flashbacks, like really bad flashbacks to the night, not like fun. Like we were just talking about Pokemon earlier. It's like that's like inducing fun flashbacks of like put in the cartridge, the game turns on, and it's fun. Dealing with a VHS player as a child was not fun. It wasn't fun for anyone. It wasn't fun for adults. It wasn't like why? Anyway, but that's the thing that I learned is happening. If you have some old Disney tapes, you can sell them for a lot of money, or at least you can try. The internet's wild. But yeah, I don't know about the value of collecting VHS tapes. And I don't know about the longevity of being able to buy equipment to play them. Like how are you going to, you could still buy we were just talking about, you can buy peripheral CD drives. So like you could still buy a CD and like rip it and whatever. But who's still buying? Is anyone making new VHS players? Like, I don't know. Like, listen. Anyway.
Yeah, they weren't even good quality when they were new.
No. I was explaining, because I think Matt had brought this up, and I was explaining that like, no, the thing is that Disney used to like release movies in batches, and so like if you didn't buy it then, like you just couldn't buy it anywhere.
Disney Vault.
Yeah, it would go in the vault for several years at minimum, and then you wouldn't be able to buy it. So I guess that's why there's some collector value in these they're basically limited run VHS tapes. So I guess there's that, but yeah, it's just
sorry, on a semi-related note to what we were talking about, I used to have that Pokemon To Be a Master CD on cassette tape.
Oh, wow. Cassette tape. We had it on CD. I bet your mom loved listening to every song and not being able to skip any of them on the cassette tape. I remember having both a Walkman and a CD player. Discman, that's what they were called, right? In my youth. Kind of wish I still had the Walkman. I think it still worked at the time that I last used it, so.
Yeah, I remember we transitioned to CD fairly early on, because I remember, I had all my stupid Backstreet Boys CDs.
Yeah.
So it was like late 90s, but as a like small child, I remember I had like the Lion King soundtrack and like that Pokemon cassette tape and stuff on tape. So
that's fun. Even after CDs, though, we had mixed tapes for a while, like a long time, because there wasn't a good way to make mixed CDs until like we were in high school. So there was a good gap. At least maybe there was a way to make them, but it was probably much like out of the hands of home entertainment, home entertainment, you know? But it was really easy to make mixtapes. So yeah, we had that for a long time. So even after CDs were a thing, it's like, if you wanted to have any kind of customization in your listening experience, it was still a tape. Or you didn't want to buy the CD, you had to record it off the radio. The radio, guys. Wild.
Speaking of, when I was digging through my CDs, I found a burned copy of the Frozen soundtrack that I believe you burned for me, Ellen, and you drew a snowflake on it, which is cute.
Wait, what does it have on it?
The Frozen soundtrack.
Is there something written on it?
just says frozen, and then there's like a snowflake drawn on it.
Oh, okay, that seems like something I would do. But also, I mean, I wasn't living there, so it might have been Jane.
I think it was like over the. I think it was over the one of the breaks when we were all like listening to that at that time.
I think we saw
handwriting, but
it could be.
Could be wrong.
Handwriting is really different from Jane's. Photo. We'll analyze. We'll get the analysts.
Yeah, I know I've had a couple CDs that you burned for me over the years. I think that's the only one I still have easy access to.
I have a USB with cabin pressure on it somewhere in my house that I still need to listen to. The modern version of burning a CD.
Yeah.
A USB stick. I have bought you a cheap USB stick that I have burnt some MP3s onto, or copied some MP3s onto. I have. That definitely seems like something I would do.
Now it's probably like I made you a Spotify playlist.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, honestly, that may be outdated now. There might be something new. I don't know.
The youth are probably just listening to music on TikTok anyway.
I was gonna say, just making something stupid on TikTok.
Also, we've evolved as a species. We have like shared playlists. So like me and Jane don't. It's not like I burned something for her. She just like puts it on the shared playlist.
Oh yeah.
So we've evolved as a species. Anyways, this has been old crone technology corner, I guess.